So Byleth is coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as the final character for the first Fighters Pass, and apparently no one saw this coming except for you, Steve.
Yes!
I got
Nicely
it.
done, Steve.
So, Steve, are you excited that you are right, or how are you feeling about that?
So, like I said, Fire Emblem Three Houses was my favorite game last year. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to see Byleth, and I get that there's a lot of hate because it's another Fire Emblem character, and now we have 8, and that is kind of a lot, but he's such a cool character. Like, I'm really happy to see him.
It's a little fitting that 8 sounds like hate, so it's all predestined. How about you, Derek? How are you feeling about this?
While I'm disappointed that Edelgard wasn't the one put in because I thought the other characters were more interesting as far, just from a character perspective, I do like how Byleth has been integrated into Smash, and I liked Sakurai's exploration. He got to play an early version of the game. This game is huge. It's impossible to play at all, so it just makes sense to go for Byleth if you're going by that method. And while I'm not exactly excited, I'm also not disappointed. I think this is a solid choice, but definitely unexciting for most Smash players.
How about you, Ash?
It's another Fire Emblem character. It's not who I would have chosen. I don't have any personal hype for Byleth. I unfortunately have not gotten around to Three Houses. That said, I am super happy for the Three Houses fans out there, and there is other stuff that's coming as part of his pack, or their pack, that I'm super excited about. So, not my first choice, not even my 10th choice, but, can't win them all, and I'm happy for the fans out there who wanted Byleth in.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I think I pretty much echo those thoughts, Ash. I think it's a little telling when I'm more surprised by the Mii costumes than I am the actual character reveal.
Yeah.
With that being said, I will say that when we actually got to the actual gameplay portion of the reveal, he looks like a fun character. He looks like a fun character to play as. They're doing some different things with him and her, I should say. And just that it's a little hard to override that initial disappointment. It's like, oh, really? Another Fire Emblem character?
Well, yeah, and I don't think it helps. I don't think it helps that they look like Marth a little bit too, who also looks a bit like Chrom. It's another blue-haired Fire Emblem character. Obviously, a very different character from a different game. I'm not saying they're all the same, but I don't think it helps that they're not visually distinct for fans who aren't super into Fire Emblem. Plus, we'd been talking about how the character pass or the Fighter's Pass so far hasn't had any female characters except Kazooie, and she's a Bregal. It would have been really nice to see Sakurai lead with female Byleth and make her the default, just for that reason, I think.
Yeah, well, it kind of related to that, too, though, as I think a lot of people were expecting another third-party character. That had been the trend so far.
It's one of those things where, yeah, it's a little disappointing, but it's also, hey, this is Sakurai. I've said for a long time the man does not play by any rules, and this just confirmed it. He does not care about any patterns that we might see.
Very true.
Right. And it's worth noting that he had mentioned, and I can't remember where, but he had mentioned that this final character was originally supposed to be part of the original roster. They had been working on this and had to push it back. So, maybe doesn't even play by those rules, but like you said, the man doesn't, he does what he wants. And it's worth noting, like he said, Nintendo decided these characters, and it would have been crazy for Nintendo to release a game as big as Fire Emblem Three Houses and choose not to represent it in Smash at all.
Yeah, I just wonder if maybe Byleth should have come a little later, just because, again, there's Fire Emblem fatigue in Smash. Like, I feel like Mario, Fire Emblem, and Pokemon are like the three series that maybe need a bit of a rest right now in terms of, playable characters. So that's a little surprising to me that it just feels weird timing-wise, especially after the first 4 naturally had a little more hype behind them just because they were off-the-wall third-party characters, stuff like Banjo-Kazooie and Hero, lots of people didn't see that coming. So it feels weird to end on Byleth, who's not only a first-party character, which is totally fine, but also another Fire Emblem character. Like, let's say the second Fighter's Pass is all first-party or mostly first-party. Feels like it might have made a little more sense in terms of the timing of the hype to maybe make Byleth the first of the next Fighter's Pass. But hey, they're here, and they do look exciting to play as, I have to say.
Unless, Ash, they're getting through the Fire Emblem characters now. That way the next 6 can be all hype, baby. That's right.
Nice.
The best part, the best thing about hearing about there are 6 new characters coming is that that's 6 more chances for Gino to appear in Super Smash Bros.
Oh
Ultimate.
my gosh.
6 more chances for Sora, baby.
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
Actually, I will say, though, to their credit, actually, it's pretty impressive. I mean, I think when we first heard Nintendo was going to be making all the choices for the DLC, I was basically expecting all 5 to be Fire Emblem. But the fact that only one of them is actually pretty impressive, and the other 4 characters were quite surprising in their own right. So with that being said, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the character. How do you feel about their playstyle? Because this isn't another anime swordsman.
I think it's great that we finally have representation of the weapon triangle in a Fire Emblem character.
Yes.
I've been wanting that for a while. Like, where's the axe users? Where's the spear users? All those other characters. And I think it's kind of brilliant to have a different weapon assigned to each direction. And it looks like a lot of fun. I'm honestly, like, when Steve was talking about Byleth being in, I was like, with him having that whole chainsword thing, that's a perfect recovery. I could see it working, and sure enough, it's there. But I love how they expanded upon it, and that you can grab other characters and launch yourself up a little further with that, and continuing to use your chainsword in order to get up and have that range. That is brilliant. That looks fun, and I think there's a lot of great ways that you can, like, high level play might be able to troll with that. That's just a recovery, though. I think his other aspects might make him I don't know. I'm curious how the community is going to gravitate toward him, because he has such a slow build up with a lot of his attacks, but they're so powerful and have so much range. It's going to be fascinating to see.
Byleth does seem to take footstooling to a whole new level, which I find hilarious. Because, footstools, at least at the level I play at, they're fun when they happen because I don't always mean to do them. But it seems like Byleth just makes a whole show of, like, footstooling people with their chainsword and such. So that's actually really cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing, like, the crazy combos people are going to come up with, because they will.
Yeah, absolutely. When I saw Byleth, I thought that this was a character that the competitive community would probably do some amazing stuff with. Kind of some of the other characters like Hero are a little more difficult for somebody that's a complete Smash noob like me to grasp. But I kind of feel like Byleth is a little less complicated in a way. We kind of know his strengths and weaknesses by just looking at him. But I like the fact that he doesn't seem to feel like the other Fire Emblem characters. He's not very quick. He's more heavy. He's more focused on range instead of up close combat. Mm-hmm. So I think they've done a good job differentiating Byleth from the other characters. And like you said, Ash, I'm just really excited to see kind of what more advanced players are able to do with him. And I like the fact you were mentioning footstooling. I like the fact that the stage is kind of designed around that as well, with those chandeliers.
Well, speaking of the stage, that actually might be my favorite part about this character, is the stage looks pretty darn cool, at least visually. I love how there's 4 different settings. I like how it's interactive. You can break benches and marketplace stands and all kinds of things. Even the roof shatters as you drop in. It's just a neat looking area.
It really is. Like, visually, it's just it really stands out. It's just a stunning looking level, and that kind of follows on from the last one, King of Fighters Stadium. Like, you can clearly see how much care Sakurai and his team are putting into this stage. And, even if Garreg-Mach Monastery is just a standard walk-off, I'm okay with that. I'm not the kind of guy who always plays with only tournament legal stages and all that stuff. Like, I find walk-offs fun, and I find different kinds of stages fun, and this just looks like a really visually striking stage, and looks fun to play on, in my opinion. Plus, there are 4 different variations, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. I like how they're just basically like, okay, we have this type of walk-off, we have this type of walk-off. It all kind of plays with it. And, we just needed a 5th one to put in the Terry type of walk-off, and we'd have a complete set. But sure. It does look good. Like, I like having the characters back there. I wish there'd be a few more characters in the background to really represent the houses, get that kind of love that Persona did and King of Fighters did, with all their characters in the background. But I think the character choices they had were solid. At least 2 of them were always the ones that people thought of when they think of those houses. Although the models themselves look a little rough.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you really want more characters? That means dropping the quality on them even farther.
True. I'm hoping they'll look a little better with the final version, because, as he did say, they recorded that in November and things might change. So that's 3 more months of tightening up those graphics, and they might look better when things are all said and done.
Right. Well, especially considering all the Fatal Fury and King of Fighters cameos in the King of Fighters Stadium stage. Obviously they're simpler models, but I think they look better just from my mind's eye than these looked in this presentation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like the guest characters did look a little more rough than I was expecting. Yeah, and I would like to see different characters kind of maybe, even if you had to swap them in or something. Yeah, I think you mentioned Bernadette during the Black Eagles section while we were chatting during the stream itself, and I couldn't agree more. I think the hard part is, though, that people develop different attachments to different characters. But I was really, really surprised to see Lawrence in there. I don't think I know anybody that likes him.
No, that was a bit of an odd choice, but maybe Sakurai really connected with him or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, but overall for Byleth, I mean, the stage looks good, and I'm looking forward to trying him out. I like having all those different weapons. I like how, even though we have another character that has a bow and arrow, they changed up where you can, you have to finish the animation once you start it. You can't just, you don't have to finish it. You can start it up and you won't unleash the arrow if you stop early. You'll just notch it. But if you hold it for super long, you'll actually get locked in, and that could be really devastating for you, considering how powerful it is. I like how each of his attacks can be really devastating, really powerful, and have this great range. But they're also kind of slow and very exploitable for anybody that knows them. So I don't know if he's going to be the most popular character in high-level play because of that, but who knows? Maybe people can make him really work.
Byleth does seem a little bit like Hero in the sense, like a less RNG-dependent Hero, right? Because Hero is also a high-risk, high-reward character, but perhaps not to the extent that Byleth is, but Byleth also doesn't have that random element to them. So it's an interesting, Byleth fills an interesting gameplay style that I don't think we've quite seen in the DLC yet, and that I think is exciting. Plus, we haven't talked about the other exciting part of the stage, which is, of course, always new music. I think we're getting 11 new tracks, and, hey, as a casual Fire Emblem fan, I may not be familiar with all the music going in, but one of my favorite things is, going through the My Music menu and listening to each new song, right? And Fire Emblem music is always good, so you can't lose there.
Mm-hmm. Only 2 new arrangements, though, which is a bit of a shame, but the other songs are so strong on their own, I don't think it's too bad of a thing to not have the more remixes.
So are you guys excited to actually play as Byleth? After seeing the whole presentation in full, where's your hype level at for this character after the initial feelings wore off?
I'm at a solid 7. I'm curious to check him out. I think he's going to be a lot of fun, but it's not like I need to play him now.
Right, yeah.
I would say for the character themselves, it's a 1 for me, personally, in terms of who they are.
Man.
But in terms of playing out, I just don't care about Byleth the character. I just don't care about them. However, as a Smash fan who just loves playing Smash and loves getting new characters, I'd say after seeing that presentation, I'm actually an 8, to be honest.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, I'm kind of hovering around the same range. I really like Fire Emblem, and I really enjoyed Three Houses specifically, so I'm with Derek at about a 7 or an 8. I haven't really enjoyed many of the DLC characters mechanically. I'd say that Terry is probably my favorite, because he feels like a better Ryu and Ken, and I love old school fighting games. But seeing the presentation, I feel like Byleth is one that I might actually want to use. So I would say I'm at a solid 7-8 range as well.
Nice. Well, any other thoughts about Byleth you guys want to get out there before we start to wind it down here?
Love the color variations. I thought that was very cleverly done. We have them both male and female. We have the 3 house leaders represented. In models, I think look very good. We have Sothis represented, and we have spoilers represented, which I was a little surprised I didn't have in the first place because it makes them more distinct. Mm-hmm. But with that color variation, I think it helps a lot. And I think DLC character-wise, this is some of the best variations of the DLC, and just what they kind of pull off and represent.
Yeah, and I would say, even if you're not hyped for a new Fire Emblem character, I would say look back on Corrin, because I didn't care about Corrin either, but they're actually pretty fun to play, in my opinion. I go back and play Corrin, even if I don't have a lot of personal interest in the character, and Byleth looks like they are going to be another Corrin in the sense that they're a different Fire Emblem character. They're not another Marth, Roy, Chrom. They have their own differences, of course, but they are another alternative Fire Emblem character, and I do like that.
Yeah, it's worth noting, people like to say the Fire Emblem characters are all the same, and I understand where that comes from, but I would give Byleth a shot. Byleth does seem genuinely unique, especially, with the representation of the weapon triangle and being able to switch between weapons on the fly gives Byleth kind of this unique position of having 3 distinct fighting styles, or 4 distinct fighting styles.
That's a lot.
So that's really cool. One thing I want to point out, we didn't get an announcement of a Byleth amiibo. Is that normal?
It's just probably coming way down the line, is what I would say. There's no way there won't be one.
We haven't even hit the DLC characters yet. We're still only on Richter and Dark Samus.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, man, I'm still waiting for my banjo-kazooie amiibo.
Oh, that's true. Did we even get an announcement of Banjo-Kazooie as an amiibo?
Not yet,
yet,
but I
I
assume
don't
it's coming.
Wow. Wow.
Joker hasn't even been announced, right? Or has he?
No, I don't think he has.
Yeah, I don't think we even got
'cause,
Joker yet.
Pretty much all these DLC characters I'm going to be snapping up immediately, even though I don't worry too much about
Yeah.
Amiibo anymore.
Well, speaking of amiibo and another word within that word, we have new Mii costumes, including one from
Nice segue.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's an A+ segue.
We have Cuphead. We have a ton of Mega Man representation, which I'm sure Ash was super stoked for.
Of course.
We have Assassin's Creed represented here. What do you guys think about the new array of clothing here?
I mean,
I
while
like
don't-
that it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, there's no
Cuphead.
theme, right? There's no, like, you got Mega Man, you got Cuphead, you got Altair, like, and you got a Rabbid. Like, what? And then what's cool, too, is you have a returning Mega Man costume with X, and then you've got a brand new surprise with Mega Man.exe. So, a really weird spread of characters, but I'm here for it.
It almost feels like Nintendo is compensating for the fact that Fire Emblem was just a first-party character. It's like, all right, we'll make up for it in the Mii costumes.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm all for this new trend, by the way, of let's take an indie character, make them a Mii costume that pretty much looks like their character, and throw a new music track
Yeah.
in there. That's awesome.
Cuphead
Like,
music,
Yeah.
hell yes.
That's a good way to get me to actually buy the Mii costumes. To just throw a song in there with a fun indie character. I think that's a brilliant idea. Having Cuphead is great. Let's get Mugman in there with another Cuphead song because the Cuphead music is fantastic. Great,
Yeah.
great choice with Cagney Carnation, I believe his name is.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's another Western developer being represented in Smash.
exactly.
Right?
The thing that I found interesting is that Nintendo hit like the perfect balance of how to reveal these Mii costumes too. Like it was an escalating. It kept getting more and more hype as they went through these. Like Altair, I was like, Rabbids, I was like, this is terrible. and then we started to get Mega Man X, and I was like, oh, this is the first good one. Then we got EXE, which I mean I like more than X personally, just because he's so overlooked. And then I was like, this is cool. We finally we get to Cuphead, which is just so far and away the best costume, and they knew it too because even the reveal for it was a notch above the other ones. Like we got the storybook and everything like that. So I think they did a really great job with this portion of the presentation, and the Cuphead one looks fantastic. Like I was ready to throw my debit card at the screen the minute I saw it.
Well, speaking of throwing your debit card at the screen, you have another reason to now with the announcement of the upcoming DLC Fighters Pass, which includes not 5 characters, but 6 this time, which I think is something that caught probably most of us by off guard. And apparently these will be released over the course of the next 2 years. With them saying, there's a little thing at the bottom saying that the last one, or that they would all be released by December of 2021. So, assuming that's the end date, that seems like the pace of the DLC fighters might be slowing down a little bit. So what are your guys' general hopes for this?
Look back to any prediction video or hopes video that I did before.
Or
Take those
our
characters,
upcoming ones?
Yeah, and just transfer that over
Yep.
to these possibilities. Let's get Rex and Pyra. Let's get Shantae. Let's get Crash Bandicoot. Let's get crazy and have all these possibilities that could be thrown in there. Who knows? There might be a brand new game that comes out that makes it all the more exciting, and we want to see representation in there in that time. Don't know, but let the speculation continue.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, I'm so happy to know we've got 6 more characters coming, at least, and maybe that'll be the end of it, but just to know that we have 6 more coming, this hype train is not stopping for 2 more years. I go back and forth on whether I would like to know that it's coming out over the next 2 years, just because it seems like such a long time from now, and it seems like such a slow release schedule, but of course, when we get into it, it's not going to feel that long. I mean, that's
it's every 4 months or so. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's not that bad. And it'll, this hype train just keeps going, and that's the big part to me.
You can't stop Sakurai. There's no stopping
No.
Sakurai.
So I go back and forth on this, because I like how Capcom pre-announces the characters in their season passes, because that kind of informs me as a buyer if I want to purchase the entire pack or if I just want to piecemeal my characters. And I feel like Smash has such an incredibly large roster that maybe some people would like that option. So it's hard for me to say whether or not I like this approach, but like you said, Andre, it's not a long time to wait. If they're going to keep up, over the next 2 years, we do have to get a character every 4 months or so. So I guess we won't be going a super long time between reveals. I think it's hard for me knowing that they know all the characters.
And we don't.
And we have to wait to find out, and we have to invest. We have to choose to purchase.
Well, you don't have to, but you do save money,
yeah.
so it gives you the incentive to purchase them
Right.
all over
Well, the
upfront.
only way you can get that Breath of the Wild Mii costume
Oh, good point.
is to buy the Fighter's Pass. So if you don't do that, you don't get that. And they literally said they won't sell it separately. So you're either all in. If you,
To me, it's
like
not
that
that
costume
much of a
in
draw.
Zelda.
true.
Yeah, and I mean, is that much of a draw, to be honest? I mean, I'm sure someone out there is like, this is exactly what I wanted, but generally, I don't feel like that's that much of a carrot.
Yeah.
Right. It's not a huge thing, but it is a thing. Like if you're a completionist and you want to have all the Mii costumes, but I guess at that point you're buying the Fighter's Pass anyway.
We should mention, by
Right.
the way, that I believe that's going to be $25 for the Fighter's Pass up front. Whereas, do you remember what the cost of each character is individually? Is it $6?
I think
believe?
it's $6.
$5.99, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, you're saving a bit of money by buying up front, and I hear you, Steve, like, as a consumer, it'd be nice to be informed of what they are. But then I think, then you don't get the hype of each reveal, like, leading up to it.
That's the thing, is that so much of Smash culture is the character hype, the drip feed hype, the speculation and the rumors, and, that's such a huge part of it. And as much as I agree that it would be nicer for the consumer if they did lay it out beforehand, Nintendo and Sakurai are not going to ever give up that hype element of
because
Smash.
It commands a level of hype that no other fighting game fighter's trailer does.
Exactly.
Yeah. It makes each character feel special, and having that little segment going over their history, what they're all about, and it makes them feel important in that moment. And to have it like, all right, here they all are. You'd be hyped for that one moment, and then it's just all deflated. It's like, all right,
just waiting.
cool.
Yeah, forever.
That's fair.
Exactly. And another angle, too, I think, is that, the fact that we know now that these characters are coming out over the next 2 years, for Smash enthusiasts like myself and John and whomever, I think it's really cool to know that this game's going to continue getting balance updates and tweaks and changes for at least 2 more years. That excites me a lot.
Yeah, 3 years of support after release. I think that's pretty much more than any other Nintendo first-party game. So that's
Totally.
pretty cool. And I fully expect like a final edition available at some point. Maybe at the end of that year that just comes with all the DLC built in. Like so they can re-release an Ultimate version of Ultimate at some point.
Exactly.
And I think one of the way to look at this too is it's a risk if you buy it early, in that not every character may appeal to you personally. But I think the way to look at it is, like, we've seen now the quality of the output, even for characters you may not be personally fans of. Like, each character is a well-crafted element of this game, oftentimes a unique element. Like, they introduce things that we haven't seen before in Smash. So if you look into that lens, it's not that big of a risk. You're getting 6 well-built characters. The only question is whether you personally care about them or not.
Plus 6 more stages and a ton of music.
Yeah, true.
And if you buy it all...
It's a good value.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. If you buy it all up front, you're getting all of that for less than $5 per character. I mean, I know someone out there is complaining about the price, but I mean, that's honestly, for all the content, like you just said, Andre, all the content you get, and it's good content, it's meaningful content. Hell, Terry came with 50 songs, so we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but like, you're getting so much bang for your buck. It's less than $5 a fighter's pack, or fighter's, individual fighter, and I just think that's incredible value.
Plus, you can easily wait until the first character is revealed and then buy it then. You don't need to get it right away. Yeah, you can pre-order it and be excited and get that Mii costume if you really want. But what I'm going to do is just wait until that first character is revealed and then, boom, get my Fighter's Pass Volume 2 and wait for the rest. That's what I did with Joker.
I'm actually surprised, Eric. You're not just going to go for it? You're going to actually wait?
Why? Yay, a new Mii costume that I'll never use.
Well, that's true. I mean, obviously.
I don't care.
I just meant
we need all this
if
for
you
work,
were-
though,
yeah.
don't we? So.
Yes, we do, but I'll still, we have a week and a half until Byleth comes out.
True.
There's time.
Did they say? Did they give a date? I totally missed that. They did.
January 28th.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I totally missed that. Okay, yeah, nice. At least
Yeah.
it's not. I'm just glad it's not tomorrow.
Same, or today.
Or today, yeah. That's what we're used to at this point.
All right, guys. Any final thoughts about Byleth or anything else relating to either his stage or music or the upcoming DLC packs?
while not the most exciting character for the most of Smash fans, it's hard to be upset because there's so much more coming, and he looks fun.
Yeah.
Right. And even if there wasn't more coming, how much is already in the game?
Exactly.
Like, it's already a huge game, and any addition to it is awesome, honestly.
I'm already satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already more than satisfied. I mean, hell, I got Mega Man and Banjo-Kazooie. I mean, how could I ever
And
possibly
you got
complain?
more Mega Man in this DLC, so...
Exactly.
Yeah.
And plus, I mean, it's just, when we've got 2 more years of characters coming, and that just gives Nintendo that much more time to negotiate with Disney, so I'm good. I'm sitting high, I'm good.
There we go, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if you
I'm
look...
still holding out hope for Travis.
I'm still holding out hope for Gino. But yeah,
Yes.
Shantae.
even if this character holds no appeal to you right now, just remember, this is 1 out of 11 DLC characters on top of the ridiculous roster that already existed, as you guys just touched on. So,
Well
yeah.
stated. We're going to have over 80 characters after the second Fighter's Pass is done. That's crazy.
I remember I was on a kind of funny discussion when we were talking about our impressions of Smash, and the idea came up, like, could Smash Ultimate reach 100 characters? And we pretty much vetoed the idea immediately. But at this point, probably not, but it's looking possible. It's looking a little bit more
We might
likely
at least
now.
get to 90.
Well, and the next, the 6th character is going to bring the music total to over 1,000 tracks in the music
There we
player.
go.
So there you go, right?
And then after this next round of characters, they're going to announce Fire's Pack 3, consisting of 7 characters, and it's going to keep growing exponentially.
I mean, why would they ever stop? The money would never stop flowing. They could literally do this forever, and people will keep buying it.
I do feel like there's one key point we're missing, gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
There are 6 fighters in this pack, and there are 6 main members of Game Explain.
Oh my god.
Clearly a correlation
it.
here.
We are all going to have our dreams come true.
Exactly.
I am stoked. All right.
Amen.
And on that note, I think we're about done here. So thank you so much for watching. And of course, stay tuned to Game Explain for tons more on Byleth and everything else Smash Bros. Ultimate. We'll catch you later. Bye.